Let's take a simple, childish example. If people believe in pink unicorns, is this a problem?
On the surface, no, because I mean it doesn't affect their everyday life. You know, they believe that pink unicorns exist, but how does it affect their everyday working life, their life as citizens, their family members? It would seem that the belief in pink unicorns is harmless, like the belief in Easter bunny.
Where somebody asks, "Where are these pink unicorns?"
I don't know. If they're in another world, let's say someone says.
In another world. So what relevance do they have to our world? How do we know about them? Has anybody ever seen them?
Perhaps someone told me that they exist.
How did they know?
If I read it in a book.
Let's take a more serious example. Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
Does Santa Claus exist?
I don't believe that he does, but many children do.
Okay. But where does this fiction come from?
Well, parents teach it. Parents
they teach their kids?
Or other friends who picked up from the parents are...
Okay, and ultimately some Nordic heritage.
Yeah, ultimately.
So now you're telling me that
probably goes back to Finland.
Mostly Christian parents, maybe some Jewish parents, teach their kids a lie. They teach them that there is a character called Santa Claus who is fat and bearded and dresses in a red suit and rides around in a in a sleigh with a bunch of
it's a false. I mean, it's a false belief. Santa Claus doesn't exist. So those who believe that Santa Claus doesn't exist, but they still tell their children. I mean, they're telling their children a lie concerning something that they don't even believe in.
So if you teach your kids about pink unicorns,
right,
knowing full well that pink unicorns don't exist,
right,
it's not without consequence, is it? It's
well, you've told them a lie.
Exactly. You've taught them that it is okay to lie. If the lie is what? Infantile?
It's
an
a white lie. An innocent lie, yeah.
An innocent
a little
lie.
white lie.
But is any lie innocent?
Oh.
What's the difference between a small lie and a smaller or bigger lie? Where do you draw the line?
Oh, you could say that small lie has smaller consequences or isn't directly harmful to those receiving it.
Let me explain it another way. And this is where memetics comes in. It's an analogy, a metaphor to a computer. In the logic of a computer program, let's say a big computer program like the operating system, like Windows. If you have a little lie there in the code, one of the lines in the code is
like a bug. Yeah.
It's got a bug in it. It's one line out of, let's say, I don't know, Windows XP has what, 50 million lines of code?
Something.
It's a very small line. But what happens whenever the computer wants to execute that line of code?
Well, it creates a malfunction.
It malfunctions. Usually it hangs, freezes, or completely crashes whenever it comes to that line of code. Let's say it's in a routine for, I don't know, for controlling a printer or something like that. Or controlling a graphics card or whatever it is that a lot of these routines do.
Right.
So anytime it comes to that line of code, it's going to crash.
Right.
Well, the human mind is kind of like that. It's actually worse because it's dynamic. In the human mind, a bug will grow. A bug in the system will spread because the human brain and the human mind, which sits on top of that, is constantly evolving, constantly changing. It's not only is it dynamic, it's actually a feedback system. The ideas that are already there, including the bugs, modify the new ideas you're absorbing. So the bug, the lie, multiplies.
So you're saying that bug, that lie, can then infect
people's for
new
example,
information.
Exactly.
It changes.
Like, for example, information about how they relate to their loved ones, to their wives, for example. Maybe it's okay to tell certain innocent lies in your relationship. To concoct certain fictional characters.
Right. Well, what if they're taught that lie, but if they're taught that innocent lie about pink unicorns, but they're told
Let's stick to Santa Claus.
Santa Claus. All right, that's probably a more realistic one because everyone's taught about Santa Claus. I mean, a parent could also tell them that, well, it's not good to lie. You shouldn't tell lies.
But then the parent lies.
About Santa Claus.
Yeah, he lied about Santa Claus.
Right.
Yeah, it is a lie. I mean, the mind doesn't. Yeah, at the mental level, Santa Claus or a pink unicorn or the President of the United States, it's all information.
What if the child is told that, well, that's fantasy, that's imagination, it's not exactly a lie, it's something different.
But Santa Claus was not taught
make-believe
to the kids as make-believe. They weren't told, this is make-believe, we're just playing. It was taught as a real character. Well, a lot of these people teach it as a real character to them.
That is true.
So,
a real character is going to bring them gifts.
So there's no flag in the mind saying, this is playtime. As far as the child is.
What about when the child gets older and they're told?
Then, that's the big letdown. The child finds out that they were had. They were deceived by the very people who love them the most. Now, what does that do to your whole system of beliefs? What else could they have lied about? You created the ultimate doubting Thomas, if I can use the fictions of the Bible. You've just basically destroyed this poor kid's complete belief system. He'll never trust anybody anymore.
But somehow they do. Throughout their lives, people do display trust.
I mean, you shouldn't expect the dramatic consequences.
You're saying this is something subtle.
This is something subtle. It's in the mind. It's there.
Lurking. You're saying it's something subtle that's constantly lurking.
It's constantly there. But it will change affect the behavior of the person.
So the act of finding out that the parents betrayed you, essentially, even if it seems like a small betrayal, by telling you a lie
these are people. These are the most loving people in your life. These are the people you depend on the most.
These are the ones that you should trust.
And they're the ones who lied to you in the worst kind of way. They took you for a ride. They said there's a guy who rides around in the sky on a sleigh, and he brings gifts to kids.
You're saying that the effects of that linger in the mind of the child.
They also told you about another invisible character. His name is God. They told you he also brings gifts to people and does things for people. And now you're stuck as a Christian child. They lied about Santa Claus. Could they also have lied about the other invisible character? Is it possible?
If you're a child, yeah, it's possible.
No, logically. If you think about it logically. Imagine you're listening to me, we don't know each other from nothing. Well, let's say we know each other. And I lied to you about one thing.
Logically,
and then I told you something else.
I would have to assume that it is possible that you could have lied about other things.
Exactly.
You did.
And that's exactly what I meant, that you have shaken up the complete belief system of that child. You've undermined them completely. They still have the beliefs, but now they're sitting on air. They're sitting on nothing. Their whole pyramid structure of belief, of ideas and beliefs, that makes them them.
And then it's a matter of whether or not they choose
because
to believe.
Because the reason why is because parents are such a critical part of a child's mind.
Their child's world.
Their whole world.
They define it.
Exactly. So you can see how even the most innocuous, innocent little belief, little idea, the idea of a Santa Claus, is not so small or so innocent or so inconsequential anymore when you look at it in that way.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. I mean, it's a small belief, seemingly, but
when you see the whole progression of the scam,
logically, I mean, looking at it strictly speaking, logically, it does undermine many things.
Yes, it undermines everything. This parent-child relationship is the most important relationship in most human beings' lives.
A child isn't just logical; they have an emotional nature, very strong emotional nature.
And who said emotions are not logical? I mean, I'm talking about healthy emotions.
Right.
When emotions are healthy, they're logical. We should state that right away and right off the start. When the belief system is rational and logical, the emotions are also going to be rational and logical. When the emotional are